Greetings, YouTube. Today we're looking at an Oerla knife, a company I have never purchased from before. This is the TAC folding knife, and it is code number is X001QJEF4H. Again, one of those little logos that just rolls off the tongue. Just came in a standard box, so it is padded, and here is the knife in question. So the first thing you're going to notice is that it's a pretty good sized knife. This is it's a beefy knife. It's larger than I thought it was going to be. The scales on this are nice. They're nicely done. Well sculpted. They have lots of curves on them. They feel really good. The quality of these scales really impressed the heck out of me when I took this out of the box. It's not a light knife. It's pretty hefty. But the scales were the first thing I noticed, and I'm like, wow, they did a really nice job on this. It's got a lanyard hole, but that's too small for paracord. Maybe you get an empty piece of paracord and you take the innards out. I'm not sure. You might want to get some other kind of cord if you actually feel you need a lanyard. Semi-open construction, single position pocket clip for tip-up carry, which is my preference, but it bugs me that it's single position. I do like the cleanness of the scales and the fact there's only a fastener there and there, so that's kind of nice. And because of the semi-open construction, you don't see any other supports for this at all. So you just got it's nice. The section that is open, it's nicely open. There's no obstructions at all. So you have your scales sitting right on your liners, which are not skeletonized; they're just solid steel. Star drive bits. This is interesting. This side's flat, and this side has got actually a little concave to it. It actually kind of feels. I like it. It's got a nice little tactile vibe going on there. It's kind of like, hey, my finger fits in that perfectly. This is really primarily designed as a flipper. You can open it with the thumb hole, but the thumb hole is an awkward shape, and I think it works much better as a flipper because it has ball bearings. So, there you go. Nice deployment. Not the fastest in the universe because this is a pretty big blade. It's pretty thick, it's pretty long, it's pretty wide. So there's a lot of metal you're moving there. But makes a nice choil. And again, this is very comfortable. The liners themselves have little chamfers both on the static liner and on the liner lock itself. So your finger comes in here and it feels very comfortable, and you can close it without any difficulty. And again, I like this type of flippers because when you close them, it stops on your thumbnail, and then you can close it. Now, one thing I did notice, and I thought that was kind of surprising, as I said, they are ball bearings in here, and there's no way for me to show this to you. However, when you close it, you can feel them. I can feel each individual ball bearing, which makes me think they didn't pick the best quality ball bearings. As far as retention is concerned, let's see if we can get a demonstration of the retention. There we go. So the retention is light. It's not real strong, but I don't have a problem with that. I think I've had like one knife open up in my pocket in the last 40 years, so I'm not going to be too concerned about that level of retention. So let's take a closer look at the blade itself. We have a full flat grind in a modified Wharncliffe blade. It's not a true Wharncliffe, but it's very close to a Wharncliffe. Got a nice geometry there. I happen to really like that. I like full flat grinds. They're my preference. I think it's really, oh, sorry. I actually used this to do some cutting a little while ago. Apparently I got some adhesive on it. It's opening a package. But, yes, just a nice shape, good thickness. I like that this is a nice medium duty knife, maybe even all the way up to heavy duty knife. This has got some a nice heft to it. Got Oerla on there, and that's the only bit of print on this knife. Lockup is good. No movement in either direction. It's not moving this way, and it's not moving this way. So that's nice. So I've said all these really nice things about this knife, and I mean all the really nice things I've said about this knife. Now I'm going to say some things that aren't so nice. Every single edge, with the exception of this liner, this section in here, has a sharp edge. Now it's not cutting sharp, but it is just below cutting sharp. There is a discernible burr on this. And speaking of burrs, if you look in this hole, can you see in that hole? There's actually a burr on the inside of the scale. So that's visible. Somebody passed that and put it on a knife. That's not great quality control. But it's the edges and here This is really sharp. It's very uncomfortable, in my opinion, to do this. I'd just be afraid if I did that too many times of actually cutting my finger. So it's a flipper, use it as a flipper, and I don't like all these sharp edges. I want the sharp edge here. I don't want the sharp edge on the back. They really need to have run this thing by a deburring tool. This section here is not too bad, and I'm not really concerned about this section of a blade having an edge that's very crisp, because that is a section you're probably not going to be touching a whole lot, but you're going to be touching this. Doing this is not uncommon, and if you have this in your pocket, this is exposed, or in your hand, so this is going to come in contact with you as a person a lot more than this section here. This section I'm not so worried about, but this section in here is just way too sharp. And this section in the hole, again, they didn't have to do a lot, just knock the edge off. And this would have been a better review, and I would have, or a more positive review than I'm giving it. It's a big knife. If you have big hands and stuff, this is definitely, in my opinion, a knife for you. I think this knife is actually a little bit big for me. So I don't think I'll be carrying this a lot. I think I may carry it just a couple of days and see if I like it or not. But yeah, it's a little bit too much. It's a little bit too wide and everything. I just didn't. When you look at a static image on a page, even if you're looking at it in somebody else's hands, their hands and your hands are different. So my palms are actually not fairly standard size, but my fingers are a little shorter and they're slightly conical. So sometimes things that are good for a person who has larger hands just don't fit me very well. I have a hard time finding gloves for that reason. But if you've never tried an Oerla knife, this may be a good entry point. It wasn't particularly expensive. I can't remember what I paid for this, but it wasn't overly expensive. And it was just a brand I had not tried. So they did an excellent job with the scales, the liners, excellent job. I like the geometry, the grind. It came out of the box with a reasonably sharp edge. There's a lot about this knife I like, but I don't like the sharp nature, the crisp edge they have here on the hole and on the back of this, on the spine here. I don't like that. So that may not be a deal breaker for you. I'm not going to send it back. I'm going to keep it, but I'm also probably not going to carry it a whole lot. So let's talk about what are our breaking points on this. You know, if you get something you like a whole lot about it, but that one thing bugs you, what is that one thing? What is that one thing you're not going to forgive a knife maker? So I may buy another Oerla just to see what their quality control is like for another design. Not this one. I don't want to get two of them. I might like that. The next one may have no burrs, but I don't need two of them. So I may try another Oerla just to see how their quality control is on another blade. But if it's very similar to this, then that review I will reflect it in that review. So this has been the Oerla TAC, the TAC folder, a modified Wharncliffe. And let's hear what you think.